Welcome back to the Middle of Culture. I'm one of your hosts, Eden.
And I'm your other host, Peter.
Peter, how have you been, my friend?
I am getting better. I was sick, not like bad sick, just a bad cold, enough that it kind of had me grumpy and slightly miserable and not sleeping well. That was the main thing.
You know, if you can't sleep well, it ruins the rest of your day.
It really does. So I'm getting over that. Unfortunately, despite all my best efforts to not give that to my wife, she has now gotten it. So,
Oh, no.
at this rate, looks like we'll just pass it back and forth. Who knows? We'll see.
You know, that's kind of how it works sometimes.
It is. But what about you? How have you been?
Pretty okay. We are gearing up for next Saturday being Free Comic Book Day at the comic shop.
Okay.
Been doing a lot of prep for that the last few weeks. You know, have you ever been to a Free Comic Book Day? Do you have any near your place? I don't even know if you have any comic shops near your place.
I am right now trying to recall if we do. I'm sure we do, but I honestly don't know where it is, and I have never been there. Free Comic Book Day is always one of those things that every time after it has happened and I'll see people posting or something about it on the internet, I'll think to myself, oh, I should see if we have a comic book store in town. And then I forget. It's just like Record Shop Day. There are exclusive variants of different albums that are released only on Record Store Day.
Yeah.
And I always forget about that until I see people posting on the Heavy Vinyl subreddit their finds from Record Store Day. So I'm bad at that stuff.
That's too bad. We have our local record shop is literally across the street from the comic shop. So I didn't go to Record Store Day, but the boss did and was able to pick up the very last copy of one of the special ones for that day, which was cool. He was very excited. I am not we've talked about it. I'm not a vinyl person because if I go down that hole,
Good for
therein
you.
lies madness.
You are
and
correct.
I know there's enough things upon which I hyperfixate. I can't let that become a new hyperfixation for me.
That is a good call. That is wisdom, and I applaud you for it.
But anyway, what you been up to? Anything fun?
Not a whole lot. So one fun thing, did get to go see Elissa in Mary Poppins. So one of the local community theaters is doing Mary Poppins and has been all month. And she is Mary in Mary Poppins. And so that was fun. Got to go see that Friday night. Gareth and I had seen it a few weeks ago. We were all originally supposed to go this last Friday. I was going to go. Gareth was going. Aubrey was coming up. Jess and Georgie, Jess's girlfriend, they were going to come up. They were all going to go. And so we got tickets. And then all of a sudden we realized, oh no, this weekend is IMX. It's a swim meet up in Idaho Falls where basically they get an award if they do all of the events. So it's all the long events. So for the 13 and older kids, it's the 500 free, the 200 individual medley, the 200 breaststroke, 200 back, 200 breast, and the 400 individual medley. So if they swim all 6 events, they get an award. So he wanted to do that. So he had 3 events Friday night, 3 events Saturday morning. So he was going to that. So he and I got tickets, went earlier in the month. And then Aubrey was going to come, and then she received an award from the Department of Physics and Astronomy, some outstanding senior award. And so she had the award ceremony for that Friday night. So she couldn't come up. And then Jess and Georgie were coming up thinking that it was Easter weekend. And then when they realized the Easter weekend was the weekend before that, then they couldn't come up on the 25th. So we moved all of their tickets and they came up and saw it the previous, Saturday. And then we're here for Easter. And so we had 1 ticket left. And so I just went again Friday night and got to go see that, which was fun. That was good.
That's really fun.
Yeah. In terms of other things I've been into, it's going to be kind of a short list, I think. Movies, have not watched anything. We were supposed to watch one for this, and even that I couldn't quite get around to between my cold and not sleeping well and just dragging and everything. Same thing, TV. We have not made it back to Andor. In fact, Gareth and I talked about that just the other day. We were like, dang, we need to get back and watch some more Andor. but we have not. I've also been intrigued by Daredevil Born Again, but I've heard enough things about it being uneven, sounds like a good word for it, where, it sounds like they started it with one group of people and then they changed the plan and another group took over and they had to do reshoots and kind of shoehorn things and make it work. The good news is it sounds like the people who finished are the ones who are fully in charge of season 2, so maybe it'll be more consistent, but I don't know. I've heard enough comments about it being somewhat uneven that it's one of those things that maybe I'll get around to when I have time.
I hear you. I have not touched it at all for that exact same reason. Also because I was like, well, I never watched season 3.
I didn't either.
Daredevil.
I watched seasons 1 and 2.
So I should probably watch season 3, but I don't want to watch season 3 without having watched seasons 1 and 2 again. And then I've given myself a project. Then I haven't given myself 9 episodes of TV to watch. Now I've given myself 34 episodes of TV to watch, and that's if I don't watch The Defenders. And at that point I'm like, I could spend that watching a good show that I know is good instead of a show that is kind of uneven.
Yep. That's about exactly where I am. I'm glad that we have the same issues when it comes to, wait, I have to do this and then I have to do this. But if I'm going to do that, then I have to do this. So,
Yeah.
Couple other things worth mentioning. Video games. I finished Avowed, was looking for something sort of in a similar, I don't know, kind of, again, RPG, but not like a slow turn-based or even like pausable type thing. So I had picked up a game called Eternal Strands. It came out in January of this year. I don't know what made me pick it up. It must have been on sale or I got it somewhere, somehow. But it has good reviews on Steam. And so I had picked that up and I said to myself, oh, look, that looks kind of cool. And so I fired it up and I started playing it. And I'm enjoying it. But, and that's the issue, is it's the but.
Eternal Strands is basically the what if Dark Souls met Shadow of the Colossus by an indie team, right?
I mean, kind of, sort of. It's not nearly as like punishing as a Dark Souls game.
Well, that's good.
And you do have these big creatures and dragons and stuff. And one of the ways that they're not as big as Shadow of the Colossus, but the way you defeat them is you have to basically climb up on them and then like hack at certain parts of them. And then you'll get thrown off and then you're going to have to climb up and hack at a different part or something like that. So.
Maybe more a Monster Hunter than a Shadow of the Colossus. Not quite as large, but you do need to like climb onto the creature and beat it into submission.
Yeah, that sounds pretty fair there. It's fun. It has a little bit of that indie vibe, which again, I appreciate. But I was looking for, coming from Avowed, I wanted more RPG mechanics. At the very least, I wanted more character progression.
For sure.
And right now, the only progression I get is when I defeat a new type of enemy, they have magic, then I pick up their strand, which then I can incorporate that. So I just killed a drake. So now I have fire magic.
Nice.
And that's cool. But again, it's that but. And this is not the game's fault. This is me. This is what I was hoping for. I am in Act 2. I cannot carry any more health potions than I could at the very beginning. Oh. I don't really have any more health than I did at the beginning. Oh. I have 0 more stamina than I did at the beginning. Yes, I was able to craft a new set of armor to give me more cold resistance because I was going into a place where I needed cold resistance. But I was just jonesing for something with a little more progression again.
Sure.
And so since there's not that character progression, again, there's equipment progression, but I'm not feeling any character progression, I've kind of slowed down. So I may take a break. There's a couple other things that I want to check out. One is the thing I want to get back to, and one is something that I guess you could also say I want to get back to. I would like to get back and finally play Dragon Age the Veilguard. I think we talked about how my computer was just randomly shutting off when I would play it for no good reason. Never figured that out. I don't know if they've patched it and if that was a problem on their issue or their end, but I have a workaround, and that is since as a sucker, I signed up for GeForce Now. I could just play it on GeForce Now.
There you go.
Then it won't be an issue. So I've been thinking about going back to that. I actually fired it up through GeForce Now. It looked great, just like I was playing it on my own computer. But I was like, I don't remember what the fuck I'm doing. And so I'm afraid if I'm going to get into that, I'm going to have to go back and start again.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's been too long.
And then the final thing that I'm intrigued with, as is, much of the gaming internet this week, that was the surprise drop of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion Remastered.
Here's the thing. Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is the best Elder Scrolls game. People are going to disagree with me. People are going to disagree with me. People are going to say it's Morrowind. I get it. Morrowind is janky. It has a beautiful jank to it. And people are going to say Skyrim because they played it on every system that has ever come out on God's green earth. You can play Skyrim Correct. On a potato. It is the new Doom. They put it on everything. Here's the thing, though. Oblivion is so janky. I love it. And so I have no desire to play the new version. I want to fire up 2006's Oblivion and replay the ugliest game. But I'm not going to lie. It has had me really jonesing to pull out my discs and throw them in my Xbox Series X and have it say, oh, you own the expansion? Okay, we'll download this for you. Go to town, buddy. But I'm tempted.
I never played Oblivion.
Fucking rules.
Like a sucker, I bought Oblivion for my Xbox 360. I'm pretty sure I even got suckered into, in fact, I got to have a discussion with Gareth last night about horse armor as the and the advent of DLC. I then, and again, this is a personal problem. Then I was like, wait a second, but I need to play it with mods. So then I got it on Steam, and then I started going down that same rabbit hole of, that's the big problem with these, especially the Elder Scrolls games. You find one mod just to improve some little thing, and the next thing you know, 3,000 fucking mods later, you have spent a year of your life modding the game to hell and back, and you have
0 hours playing the game.
Minute. Correct.
Yeah.
So I never played it. I'm telling myself I'm going to go into this Oblivion Remastered 0 mods to start. I'm just going to go in vanilla. I'm going to start playing it, and we're going to see, but I haven't yet because I keep telling myself, no, you need to go back to Eternal Strands. And then I play it for a few minutes. And again, my stamina runs out just as quickly as it did when I started playing it 4.5 hours ago. And I go, well, that's dumb. I should be stronger now. So anyway, that's my video games. Now, final thing, I will run down a quick list. There are some new music releases that I have been loving that I do want to mention. Dormant Ordeal, a death metal band from Poland. Their latest album, Tooth and Nail, came out, and it is awesome. It is kind of brutal, but not like brutal death metal. And it's kind of technical, but not like technical death metal. But it hits a lot harder than your kind of melodic death metal. It has that kind of just coldness to it that I associate with the few Polish bands that make death metal that I really dig. It is great. I've been really jamming out to Dormant Ordeal a lot the last few weeks. And then this last weekend, a number of albums came out. The new album, Alunea by Kardashev. I dig Kardashev. They do this really cool, somebody coined the term for them, death gaze. So you think kind of the atmospheric stuff of shoegaze, and we talked about Deaf Heaven an episode or two ago. Kardashev would be that feeling, that ethereal quality of shoegaze melded with more death metal. This one's a little bit more on the death side of things. I have liked it a lot so far. I will say the vocalist, Mark, he has one of just my absolute favorite voices in metal, probably behind only Jean Aldera of Jotun, in that he has that same quality where his cleans are just like elegiac. They're beautiful, very soaring, very lovely. And then he can just growl and do black metal screeches and even like some of those super, super low, like deathcore grunts and stuff like that. So very versatile vocalist. Tribunal is a band that their first album came out a couple years ago. Really like it. They're just excellent dark and moody doom metal. Their latest, Impenitence and Ruin, came out a couple weeks ago. Conan, are you familiar with Conan at all, Eden?
The Barbarian, but not the band.
So they are a British band. It's just kind of heavy, slow sludge. And their most recent album, Violence Dimension, came out. Again, lots of fun. Good album. Good, just, again, it has that sound of things, you're just crushing the skulls of your enemies under your feet. And then the final one that I mentioned completely just blew me away. And that is from the band Structure. The album is Heritage. This is a new band. This is their first album. The main guys in the band are veterans of some other bands, but Structure is this death doom that the review on Angry Metal Guy, which is where I read a lot of my reviews, was glowing. And it was from one of the reviewers, one of the oldest reviewers there, who I've been reading, for over a decade now. And I know his tastes well enough to know how they line up with mine. And he was just so positive about this album that I just started listening to it. And it literally took like 30 seconds in the first song, and I was totally hooked. It is great. So some really good music that's come out in the last couple of weeks, which helps make up for the fact that I haven't been playing much or watching much. So
nice.
But yeah. Well, what about you? What you been into lately?
Before I tell you what I've been into, I have 2 updates to the things that you have shared with us today. You do have a local comic shop in Pocatello.
Okay. What's the name?
It is called Captain Bengal's Comic Cove.
Oh boy, I have never heard of them.
It's on 3rd Street. He's been there since 2012.
Okay.
And he is going to be open with stuff on Free Comic Day. So go on next Saturday to Captain Bengal's.
So here's the good news is next Saturday I'll have much more options if I want, because I'll be down in Salt Lake. Saturday,
they got a lot in Salt Lake.
Yes. Next Saturday, I am going with Jess, Aubrey, and Hayden, and we are going to Spirit Box down in Salt Lake. So.
Cool. Well, if you feel like going to a comic shop, go to a comic shop. It's pretty cool. I like Free Comic Day. Like I said, we're doing a lot of fun stuff at the shop. We have a couple local pros, like folks who've worked in. Phil Hester is one of them. He's worked in the comic industry for decades at this point, like really famous artist. And then Eric Gapster, who was his inker for a lot of years, but is now kind of an up and coming guy on his own. They're both going to be there doing signings. We have a local coffee brewer that makes a special roast for us called Daydreams. So we're going to have that there. We also, collaborated on a beer that is Daydreams drink. So we're also going to have beer samples. It's going to be a blast. So go find your local shop. I bet you will find similarly fun things happening. Cool. And that is true of everyone who's listening. Go find your local comic shop. It'll be fun. And then, yeah, you should play Oblivion. It is a janky game, but I think that you would get the things that you liked about Avowed, you're going to really like in Oblivion. And the thing that I was so happy when I haven't played the remaster yet, but I was so happy to hear that basically all this is a visual touch-up. It is the same wonderfully janky systems where, like, make sure that you're like it's so goofy. Things like make your physical stats lower and then work to raise your physical stats, because the more increase that you have in your non-main stats improves the amount of improvement you get in your main stats, because it's a stupid system. So it is one of those things where it's like, what you just
said makes sense.
I want to be a spellcaster. So obviously, like magic and mana and things like that are my main stats. So I am going to do everything in my power. When I am going between locations, I am jumping until my stamina is gone. And then the second my stamina is back, I am jumping again, because I need my athletics to go up, because the higher my athletics is, which is not one of my main stats, the better my main stats get. It's so dumb. They didn't fix it, and that's great. And also, my favorite factoid about Oblivion is the reason that all of the voice acting is so dog shit in that game is because the actors were given every line that they had to record for every character they had been assigned in alphabetical order, because that is how they are stored in the game files.
That's awesome.
So if you are playing Martin Septum, you are not just given all of Martin Septum's lines in order that he says them in the game. You are given them in alphabetical order from the sentence that starts with the most A's at the start of it and then down to the end. And that is why it all sounds jumbled and incoherent, is because none of these were recorded at the same time. The lines that are coming after each other in the game could have been separated by days in the recording session. That's amazing. It's amazing. And I think you would have a really fun time in Oblivion based on how the things that you liked about Avowed, I think you will like about Oblivion too.
You've convinced me. Once I get this edited and posted today, I'm going to fire up Oblivion later today and give it a go.
I'll say I haven't played Eternal Strands. Oblivion is 10 times better than the Veilguard.
Yeah, I mean, again,
Oblivion's better than all of the Dragon Age games. In my humble IMO, I would rather play Oblivion than every single Dragon Age game. So
okay,
it's a good one. It's a good one.
I think there are some good Dragon Age games.
I love the Dragon Age series. Dragon Age 2 is an all-timer for me. I really like Inquisition. I really like Origin. Oblivion's better than all of them.
All right. Well, you convinced me.
Speaking of games, though, I have also been playing one of the hot new releases this week that have somehow gotten itself tied up in the culture war for no good reason. I have been playing Claroscure Expedition 33.
I have seen so much about this damn game, and I every time I honestly get ready to go buy it, and then I remember it's actually on Game Pass if I'm right.
It is on Game Pass. I did not pay money for this bad boy. I'm playing this on John Microsoft's Game Pass.
So every time I go to do something with that game, then I read that it's turn-based and I stop. So
I think you would have a terrible time with this game. This is not a game for you. Based on our conversation about RPGs in the last episode, you would not have fun with Expedition 33. It is a turn-based game. Here's the thing. It is Super Mario RPG's combat with a very, very slick French production value over the top of it. But it is a turn-based game that is simultaneously like, let me stare at this menu. I need to use the bathroom. I'm going to put my controller down. I don't have to pause the game. I'm just in the menus because it's a turn-based game. I'm going to go cook dinner and I'll be back in 45 minutes. But if the bad guys are attacking me, I have to be fucking locked in, because if you do not dodge well in this game, you are toast. And so it is a really weird turn-based, take on turn-based RPGs. It's not like an active time battle like most of the Final Fantasy games are from 4, I think was the first ATB game. 4 to 13, a lot of those are based on a meter fills. When the meter fills, that character gets to act again. And so you're managing when are people coming up. It's not like a traditional turn-based where it's like, this is the order by which things go. Expedition 33 has that. This is the speeds these characters have. So when they get into the fight, this is the order any action will be taking place. So again, you can take your time going through the menus, picking your different spells, your different attacks, using potions, using offensive, defensive, all these sorts of spells. But again, then when it's the bad guy's turn, you're like, okay, how's my reflexes? Because I need to, I have 3 options. I can dodge, I can perfect dodge, or I can parry. If I dodge, I get hit a little bit and lose a little bit of HP. If I perfect dodge, I take no damage. And if I parry, I do damage to them. But every single one of those windows is smaller than the previous one. And if you miss the window, you are getting hit for a lot of damage. And so I am enjoying it. I think the presentation is really cool. I think the world that they're giving you here is really interesting. The designs are evocative. The characters are really likable. And I'm very frustrated by it, but also in a good way. It's a good frustration for me personally, because I realized while I was playing, I didn't get to it again yesterday, but Friday I played a few hours and I felt like I had gotten to a point where I was getting things down. I had kind of figured out the rhythm for the enemies I was going up against. And then I got into a little boss fight and I got my ass handed to me. And I realized I had two options. I could get good at dodging, or I could go grind. I could go fucking grind. Because if my health is much higher, then that hit don't hurt so bad. And it ain't that big of a deal if I get hit. And so for some people, that would be, okay, I'm done playing this game. Because I'm an old person. My reflexes are not what they were when I was a kid.
Sure.
I'm not going to get good at this dodging shit. I've never been good at action games like that. That ain't me. So I got to go grind. And I'm going to have to go spend a few hours grinding. It does work like the enemies respawn every time you go to a campsite. So it'll be fairly easy to grind, get on a circuit, kill all those guys, camp, kill all those guys, camp, kill all those guys, camp, and get 4 or 5 levels and then go try this boss battle again. But that's going to take a couple hours. It's mindless. That is turn on a podcast and listen to a podcast while you click through menus for 5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's not appealing to many people. It is a little appealing to me, though.
That's good to know, because you're right. That sounds like something that would be less appealing to me.
I think you'd hate this game, which is a shame, because I think, again, it's a very interesting story. Like the premise of the game, as far as I can tell. And again, I'm 10, 12 hours into what's supposed to be a 45 to 50 hour game. And the premise is still fairly loosey-goosey for me. I'm still not 100% sure what's going on in this game. But I have enough of the ideas. And that is like, a long time ago, this monstrosity appeared that is called the Paintress and painted the number 100 on this huge obelisk. And that caused the entire city of Lumiere, which is basically Paris, to be like catapulted away from the continent into this weird island. And every year, the Paintress erases the number and paints one number lower, and then any person older than that number just dissolves, just turns to ash. And so the game opens with the main character, the main dude, Gustave, is like reconnecting with his old girlfriend who he broke up with a few years ago, because she's just a few days older than him. So when that number ticks down today, she's dissolving, and he will then be the oldest person in this entire settlement, because the 34 is getting changed to a 33. And so there is a lot you can infer through this, where you're like, okay, this is the oldest man in this entire city. And he's 32 years old. Granted, he looks 45. Life has been rough for poor Gustave and the folks of Lumiere. The man looks 45. He also looks incredibly like Robert Pattinson. If you look it up, you're like, oh, dog, they just like face cast Robert Pattinson as their main character when they designed this guy. But he's looking old. When I found out he was 32, I was like, dog, you got to work on your skincare, brother. You need some, not even, I don't think so. It's, I believe it. You need a skincare routine, brother. You need to find out what moisturizer is and how to use it. But yeah, so what happens is anyone older than the number dissolves, and then they send out an expedition to try to kill the Paintress of basically anyone who's willing to go, who is in that next age group that's going to die in the next year. And it's cool. It's a very cool game.
I mean, that's a very interesting premise.
It's a wild premise. I don't know if it's going to hold up. I might get frustrated by how bad I am at the dodging and the fact I can't like change these dodge windows a little bit more, make them a little wider. I don't know. I don't know if I'll stick with it or not, but I'm having fun so far. It's cool, though.
Cool.
It's very cool.
Well, you've intrigued me to the point that it's definitely one of these things I'm like, okay, I'll probably at least try it on Game Pass, because what do I have to lose?
It's free. You tell John Microsoft, please download, and then 15 minutes later, you're in the game. It's fine.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but it's cool. It's messy. It's hard, but I'm liking it. The only other thing I will mention is Cassie and I went on a little trip this last week. We went to a place called House on the Rock. Have you ever heard of House on the Rock, Peter?
I don't think so.
It is an extremely weird thing about half an hour outside of Madison, Wisconsin. And basically what it is this guy with too much money and a serious case of ADHD and hyperfixation.
Okay.
Bought a bunch of land and then just started doing weird shit on it. And so it started by him building this thing called the House on the Rock, which there was this enormous rock on his land, this like sheer cliffs on either side, on any side of it. And he was like, what if I just build something up there? And so he would schlep up the side of these cliffs and build this weird, like mid-century artist refuge for himself up there. Huh. And it's weird. And then people started hearing about it in the community, and they would come by and he would charge them like 50 cents to come see his little weird artist refuge. And then we were off to the races. They told everyone else suddenly he's making money by doing this. And he's like, okay, this is the job now. Now I just make this weird house weirder. And so the original house itself is still there. You can go into it. There's this weird thing called the Infinity Room, which is just basically a suspended part of the house that's out over the valley that has no supports or anything. It is only supported by being attached to the structure behind it. So as you walk out, you can feel it like swaying in the wind. And then you can walk out and just look out the bottom window to the valley below, 80 feet below. A little disconcerting. But that's all cool and good. And then he just started hiring weird people to make weird shit. And so there is like an old-timey, like late 19th century city that you can walk through with like storefronts and weird like automatons that you put a little token in, and then they play like the pipes are piping and the drums are drumming and all this sorts of weird shit. And then he got really hyperfixated on dollhouses for a while. So there's a big section on dollhouses. And then he had a weird hyperfixation about organs. So it's got one of the largest like organ like stop bays on the planet. It's got the biggest carousel in the world inside of this thing. And it's just like, what the fuck is this? Like, if you ever find yourself in Wisconsin for any reason, in the next few months maybe, go to House on the Rock. It's fucking wild.
It sounds like it.
And then the saddest part is the guy died, and clearly whoever bought it after he died was like not dynamic or innovative, and just is the place has become really ossified. They're not building new exhibits. They're not bringing out new weird things. It's like, here is all the stuff that this guy commissioned while he owned it. And it's like, yeah, he's been dead since 1989. Put some new shit in your museum. And so it was really fun to walk through. And then it was almost as much fun to go to the resort afterwards, where Cassie and I spent the night. And we just got in the hot tub for an hour and talked about what would we do if we were in charge? If we were in charge of House on the Rock, how would we make this better? And that was almost as much fun as walking through the thing. So it was pretty cool.
Nice. That does sound kind of cool.
It is a unique experience. That is what I will say about the House on the Rock. All right.
Cool.
So are you ready to do something real stupid, Peter?
I am very much ready. And
all right.
Again, I'll just let everyone know that this is my fault, because I bailed on the planned movie because I just couldn't get it done.
Well, folks, we got a barn burner coming up in a couple of weeks when we get to our next episode. It is a movie I have not seen in 10 years or maybe 15 years, but I remember thinking it was really cool. Way better than its popular consensus seems to be in the culture. So I'm excited to get back to it. Yeah, and it's something Peter's never seen. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks. But in the meantime, that meant that I could plumb the depths of bracketfights.com, because I didn't want to make my own bracket. I thought about it, and then I gave up. This was
kind of a last minute thing,
and so I poked my way through, and let me tell you, it's bad out there. A lot of the brackets are just, especially I tried to look at like movies and TV brackets. Fully a third of them are just, who's the hottest celebrity lady? And I'm like,
yeah, that's dumb.
Guys, come on. 2/3 of the video game ones are number one video game waifu. And I'm like, anyone who says waifu deserves to be thrown into the sun. If you say a waifu or husbando in a non-ironic way, guillotine. That's what that's for. But regardless, I did find something good. I had two options, and I was looking at the second option, and then I was like, I don't actually know who a third of these people are. That was going to be the video game protagonist tournament. And I'm looking at this, and I'm like, okay, I know who Spyro is, but who is this random man? I know who Sonic is, but who is this random man? And like fully a third of them are random white dudes with facial hair, like stubble and a buzzed head. I'm like, I don't know who these men are. So instead I have maybe the dumbest one, and I'm going to share it with you right now. I'm going to share my screen. And that is Disney versus Marvel versus Star Wars versus Muppets. So every one of these every one of these quadrants is a different one of these like greater buckets. So there's a whole quadrant that is just Disney movies, a whole quadrant that is just Marvel movies, just Star Wars properties, and just Muppet properties. So I'm going to hit shuffle a few times, and then we're just going to go through and decide what is the best. And
I love it.
There's a lot here, so I think we're going to have to keep the conversation on the specific things short. But I'm very curious to see, and in my heart, I know what I want to win, and I don't know that it will, but we're going to see.
Okay,
all right, we're going to click matchup mode. So our first matchup here, The Mandalorian versus Muppet Treasure Island. Now, to me...
Now, that's easy.
Muppet Treasure Island.
Win. Absolutely, because you know what Mandalorian doesn't have? It doesn't have Miss Piggy with everybody chanting, boom, shakalaka, boom, shakalaka. That's all it takes right there.
It doesn't have Tim Curry as
it's true.
As
the pirate Blackbeard,
yeah.
Or...
I can't remember his name now. As soon as I said it out loud, it left my brain. All right. Now, The Muppet Show versus Star Wars The Clone Wars.
Confession, again, this is going to come into play probably a lot here, but the prequels to Star Wars made me so angry that, and then the sequels just pissed all over that grave that I had buried Star Wars in. I've never seen any of these things. So I don't know. I've always loved the Muppet Show, but I know people have a lot of love for the Star Wars, the Clone Wars. And so I would defer to you.
Here's what I'll say. If you put both in front of me and said, hey, we're just going to be stuck in this room for 3 hours, watch a show. It's the Muppet Show.
I mean, it's brilliant.
It's way better. All right, next up. We've got a Marvel versus Marvel matchup here. We've got the Avengers versus Captain America Civil War. What do you think?
I think the original Avengers has a lot of problems, and there's things about it that haven't aged as well, but I actually think overall I prefer it over Civil War. I don't like Civil War nearly as much as a lot of the Marvel fan people like Civil War. I think Civil War was a huge step down in quality from Winter Soldier. I couple it with that one because it was the sequel to Winter Soldier and it was directed by the Russos. But so personally, I think I would take the original Avengers over Civil War.
I am inclined to agree with you. I feel similarly regarding Civil War. I think personally, I know that it is a little contrarian, but I think every Captain America movie is at least a little worse than the previous one. Because First Avenger remains my favorite. Winter Soldier is very good. I just don't think it's quite as good. Civil War felt like a big step down, and Brave New World felt like an extremely big step down.
Still haven't seen it, so
it ain't good.
I give it to Avengers.
All right, Muppet Show Season 1 versus Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Now, is Snow White...
Irreverence of the...
What were you going to say?
I was going to say the irreverence of the Muppet Show just makes me so love it so much.
Here's the thing. Snow White, important movie. Very important movie. I don't want to watch it.
No.
I don't care about them dwarves. Those guys are jerks. I'll never care about a dwarf. Okay. There's too many seasons of the Muppet Show here. The Muppet Show Season 4 versus Steamboat Willie. Just to throw Disney a bone, I'm giving it to Steamboat Willie.
I agree. Agree completely.
All right. Next up, we've got Gravity Falls, the Disney TV show versus Guardians of the Galaxy. I ain't seen Gravity Falls. I don't care about Gravity Falls. Guardians takes it.
Yep, agreed.
I've heard Gravity Falls is good. Okay, here's the matchup of things you hate.
This is excellent.
The Clone Wars Gendy Tarkovsky animated show, which is all vibes, no thoughts, head empty. And episode 2, the third worst Star Wars movie? Second?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I think there's a couple of the sequels that give Episode 2 a run for its money. So
For sure, Rise of Skywalker does. For sure, Rise of Skywalker's worse, but I don't know. Force Awakens ain't good, but it's better than Episode 2.
No, I agree. See, for me, I hate The Last Jedi, so I was going to say...
I don't like The Last Jedi either. We'll talk about that when we get to Last Jedi, because it is in here. I think the way that it became a culture war, like, touch point sucks, because I'm out here like, I don't care for The Last Jedi, but not for the reasons these motherfuckers don't like The Last Jedi. I don't like The Last Jedi for good reasons. They don't like it because they're weird culture war shits. Anyway.
We'll get there. Incredibles, one of my very favorite movies of all time. I'll fight anyone who says otherwise.
But also, it's up against Beauty and the Beast. I'll give it to you. I'll give you Incredibles.
Yeah. No.
Beauty and the Beast is one of my favorite Disney movies, but okay. Okay. Are we doing it like this then? You're not taking me to the next bracket?
It looks like are we going half the bracket to get, okay.
I don't know.
Let's get down to our finalist from one side.
I guess that's a stupid way to do it, bracketfights.com. But we've got Muppet Treasure Island versus The Muppet Show. It's Treasure Island.
Treasure Island. Yep, agreed.
The Avengers versus Muppet Show Season 1.
See, part of me, just because, and again, while I have really cooled a lot on the Marvel stuff, I feel like The Avengers was such a big payoff to prove that what Marvel was trying to do actually worked, that I kind of want to give it to The Avengers.
I'm with you. I think that's fair. Guardians versus Steamboat Willie. Sorry, Steamboat Willie found dead in a ditch.
Uh-huh. Oh, gosh,
and Incredibles versus Clone Wars, also easy. I don't like the Incredibles, but I'll give it to Clone Wars any day. Now, here's a good one. Avengers versus Muppet Treasure Island. That's not hard for me.
So I would probably rather watch Muppet Treasure Island.
Oh, that's because it's a better movie.
I know. So I have to give it to Muppet Treasure Island.
I was waiting for a counterpoint. There is no counterpoint to be had. It's Muppet Treasure Island.
Nope. Oh, gosh.
All right. You get to choose.
Gotta kick Guardians.
Okay, you give it to Incredibles over Guardians of the Galaxy?
Down.
Okay.
Hands down. The Incredibles kicks the Guardians' asses.
I'm not here for either of those movies, so I'm glad you could be here to pick. All right. I'm going to let you pick this one too. Muppet Treasure Island versus The Incredibles.
See, and this boils down to the fact that I love Muppet Treasure Island, but again, and part of it is just, I don't know if it's like the family aspect, if my kids always joke about me being like Mr. Incredible, if the fact that my kids watched it so much growing up, that it was one of those that I have seen The Incredibles probably 100 times and I still don't find it boring. Those are all parts of why, for me, The Incredibles, honestly, and I say this completely unironically, top 5 movies of all time, The Incredibles is going to be in there somewhere. I don't know where, but it is in my top 5 movies of all time.
I'll give it to Incredibles because I can't make either of those cases for either of those movies. Neither of them would show up in my top 5. All right. Star Wars Rebels versus Hawkeye. Rebels, real good. The second best Star Wars show, ? Hawkeye, also real good. The second best Marvel show, ?
Hawkeye was so much fun.
This is a hard one because it really is like the number 2 of both of these TV like things. I'm going to give it to Hawkeye.
Okay. I was going to defer to you because, again, haven't seen Rebels.
All right. I have not seen Muppet Haunted Mansion, but I have seen the Muppet movie, which is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yep.
And will handily defeat Hawkeye when those two come up against each other. Okay.
Yep.
Captain America, the First Soldier versus Lilo and Stitch. I think Lilo and Stitch is fine. I don't feel the affection towards it. Apparently Stitch is like in the zeitgeist. All the kids love Stitch, even though the remake isn't even out yet. I don't get it.
I have never understood the love for Lilo and Stitch. I think it is, like you said, a fine movie that has somehow become so much more popular than I think it deserves.
I'm with you. I'm giving it to First Avenger because it's my favorite Captain America movie.
There you go.
And Lion King 2, the shitty Lion King movie versus Captain America, a good movie.
Yep.
Okay. Now we've got Iron Man versus The Mandalorian Season 1, though. Season 1 of The Mandalorian, a.k.a. that one flashing moment when we were like, yo, is this show good? Before it was like, nah, this show's pretty mid. Versus the apex, the starter, the initiator, Iron Man.
You know, I lean towards Iron Man because I just have such a mental block against all things Star Wars that even though I watched that and thought it was good, I still never wanted to watch season 2.
Now, you're not allowed to do this. We've got Robot Chicken Star Wars versus The Great Muppet Caper. Robot Chicken Star Wars never came out. It was canceled by Disney.
Yeah.
And also, The Great Muppet Caper is one of the greatest movies of all time because it's got Charles Grodin flirting shamelessly with Miss Piggy.
With Miss Piggy.
And it's one of the greatest things ever made. Next up, we have Fantasia versus Muppet Christmas Carol. That's a murderer's row of Muppet movies. Fantasia is boring.
Christmas Carol just, oh boy, this one's easy here. We got Star Wars versus Star Wars.
Star Wars, but the worst of the original trilogy, Return of the Jedi, versus the second worst of the sequel trilogy, Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, Return of the Jedi.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, again, we've come back around. Hawkeye versus the Muppet movie. For me, it's the Muppet movie.
Muppet movie. Agreed.
One of them has the Rainbow Connection in it. One of them has Animal getting 50 feet tall because he ate some of Beaker's weird candies. Some of them have an evil Southern man trying to turn Kermit the Frog into a spokesperson for or to become himself food. That is Frog's legs. It's a great movie. All right. Now, I'm going to let you choose. I think I know what you pick here. We've got Captain America, the First Avenger versus Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
I mean, again, this gets down to Captain America, the Winter Soldier is my favorite of the Marvel movies, I think.
We'll give it to you.
I like the First Avenger, but there were a few things that didn't work as well for me. So
that's fair. I really like it a lot. Maybe it's Haley Atwell. What can I say? I just think she's great.
I mean, that's fair.
Next up, we have Iron Man versus the Great Muppet Caper. In my heart, this is not even close. It's the Great Muppet Caper.
100% agree.
What color are their hands now?
All right.
I mean, what this is telling me is that we're Muppet sickos and just don't think about it because they're not like easy on streaming these days. But Muppets are so good.
Look, you've got, here's the thing. This is what makes the Muppet Christmas Carol so good, in my opinion. There are many things about it, but the thing that makes it just elite, and this is what makes so many of the Muppet movies so good, it's just like you were talking about. Charles Grodin shamelessly, unapologetically, unironically flirting like crazy with Miss Piggy. You've got Michael Caine playing against the Muppets in the most absolute straight serious. Like, the Muppet movies are the best when the human actors take it serious, and Michael Caine takes it absolutely serious in the Muppet Christmas Carol. Like,
I have always heard
100%.
Yeah, 100%. I've always heard, and this feels so true to me, that the reason why Muppet Christmas Carol works so well is that Michael Caine treats the Muppets as though they are his fellow thespians.
Exactly.
And the reason Muppet Treasure Island works so well is Tim Curry acts just like if he were a Muppet.
I was going to say it's the exact opposite.
Yeah, so, it is not that he acts like they are all people. It is that he acts like he himself is a Muppet. Muppet Christmas Carol beats Return of the Jedi, no questions asked. Now, here is where you get to choose the Muppet movie versus Captain America, the Winter Soldier. That's not fair. It's not a fair matchup.
It's not fair.
It's cruel.
Oh.
I know what my heart tells me, but I'm letting you pick.
My heart says I think the opposite of you because my heart's going with Winter Soldier.
I'll give it to you. It's okay. It'll lose.
Part of it is because...
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, I know it's going to lose. Oh, Great Muppet Caper. I take Muppet Christmas Carol over Great Muppet Caper. Personally.
I'll give it to you. I was joking with my wife before this started. I was like, I secretly hope Great Muppet Caper wins the whole thing. But it went up against the Muppet Christmas Carol, and this should be the final. These two movies against each other. But Muppet Christmas Carol is just an all-timer. It's the best version of Scrooge that has ever existed.
It is.
Sorry to every other version of Christmas Carol ever made. You ain't got the juice like when Gonzo is Charles Dickens.
And you don't have, Gonzo lighting the lamps and accidentally lighting Rizzo the rat's tail so that Rizzo screams at him, "Light the lamp, not the rat! Light the lamp, not the rat!"
You don't have the creepiest Ghost of Christmas Future you've ever seen in your life.
Uh-huh.
You don't have, in the TV version, The Love Is Gone, one of the great songs.
Yep.
It's Muppet Christmas Carol.
those are all
Sorry,
why
Captain
Muppet
America,
Christmas
the Winter
Carol has
Soldier.
to take Captain America, and this is a beautiful final.
I think this is the semis.
So, is this the semis?
Because there's a bunch of shit. We haven't seen Empire Strikes Back yet. We haven't seen Star Wars. True. This is the semifinals because of the way the stupid website works.
Bracket.
Top half of the bracket, Incredibles versus Muppet Christmas Carol. I say Muppet Christmas Carol.
I was going to say, you've let me follow my heart enough that I will not argue with you, and you should follow your heart.
Muppet Christmas Carol, you know what? I'd rather watch you than The Incredibles. Sorry, not sorry.
All right, that's totally fair. Totally fair.
Oh, is that the whole thing?
So it was just a weird mix. Look at that. It was the whole thing.
It was a weird mix. That's so strange.
There we go. Muppet Christmas Carol takes it.
The Muppet Christmas Carol is the greatest of this weird matchup. Where was all the other stuff? What a strange matchup. Why did they put Star Wars The Clone Wars, the Gendy Tarkovsky show, and not Empire Strikes Back?
Empire Strikes Back.
What are you doing,
That's
guys?
okay. That's okay. We had fun.
It is okay. It is okay.
We had fun. And we have, I think if you look at the top, go up to the top, the emojis at the very top, you can see. Oh, come on.
This website is fundamentally busted.
I was going to say at the top, I could see that there were a number of laughing emojis and there were some poop emojis and stuff. I think people were ranking the bracket.
I think that earned some poop emojis. I'm not going to lie. But it was a ton of fun. But we have also learned scientifically that the Muppet Christmas Carol is better than most Star Wars and Disney and Marvel combined. So
it's true. It is. And
it feels right to me. It feels true to me in my heart. I would rather watch Muppet Christmas Carol than almost anything that we saw on that list.
I cannot argue with the results.
Really, it just tells me that I need to go watch The Great Muppet Caper maybe tonight. Maybe I need to go find a Yo-Ho version of the Muppet Cape. Maybe it's on Disney Plus. I don't know. Do they own the Muppets these days? I don't know who owns the Muppets anymore. Does Disney own the Muppets?
They do.
Well, maybe it's on Disney Plus and I can just watch it on Disney Plus.
Maybe. Hopefully.
But
it'd be good.
It's real good. That's the trick. You got to catch him red-handed. Miss Piggy rides a bike through the skylight of a museum.
She does.
Like Evel Knievel. Oh, well, I know what I'm doing with my evening once we wrap up this podcast. I'm going to watch that movie and then maybe play some more Expedition 33. Anyway, thank you all for listening. It's a little bit.
I loved it.
It's a little bit shorter episode, but you know what? I don't feel bad about it. I got to save my Andor talk till Peter's caught up. So I watched the first 3 episodes of season 2. Guess what? The show's still good.
There we go. Good to know.
Surprising no one.
To get into it.
But we'll be back in 2 weeks with a very, very special episode, as we teased. I'm going to tell you all so that maybe you could all enjoy with us. We're going to be watching Ang Lee's Hulk, the Eric Bana starring adaptation of The Incredible Hulk, which Peter has never seen, and I maintain is still the best version of the Hulk. So I'm very excited to take you on that journey with me. Nick Nolte is there. Jennifer Connelly is there as Betty Ross. Sam Elliott is there as General Thunderbolt Ross, which is why I was so annoyed when they cast Harrison Ford as him in Captain America 4 because William Hurt was dead. I was like, just get Sam Elliott. It'll be a nice nod to the fans that the 3 people that like Ang Lee's Hulk, and he'll have a mustache. He won't be a coward like Harrison Ford, who refused to have a mustache for the movie. But yeah, we'll be back in a couple weeks to watch that. And in the meantime, give us a rating on your podcast platform of choice. If you have any questions or if you'd like to tell me why The Incredibles should have beat Muppet Christmas Carol, you can let us know at feedback@themiddleofculture.com. And otherwise, we'll be back in a couple of weeks.
We will. Talk to you then.
Bye.